and settle for a less than ordinary life? Or do you feel like you were meant for something better? Something special?
Everyone tells you what to do and what's good for you. They don't want you to find your own answers. They want you to believe theirs.
You are fully capable of deciding your own destiny. The question you face is, which path will you choose?
Siddhartha Gautama was a spiritual leader of the Indian subcontinent who, through a path of enlightenment, became known as the Buddha, or Awakened One. Gautama was born in modern-day Nepal in around 566 BC, although the exact date and location are unknown. Gautama was born into a royal family, and due to his royal birth he was insulated from the harsh realities of life that existed in the country, and the young Gautama had never seen the suffering of people in sickness and death. Gautama married and started a family, and then left the royal enclosure for the first time at the age of 29. He was greatly distressed to see an old man, a diseased man, a decaying corpse, and an ascetic. This greatly depressed Gautama, and he learned to gradually accept the inevitability of the fate of humans. He left the palace and began to live an ascetic lifestyle to try and escape death and old age. He studied with various religious men, and then with an Indian ascetic, with whom Gautama achieved deep meditative states. He then spent 6 years living a life of extreme self-deprivation, eating almost nothing until he collapsed in a river whilst bathing. He then decided to live a life of neither luxury nor poverty, the so-called middle way. Gautama was seated under a Bodhi tree one day when he vowed to stay beneath the tree until he had discovered the truth. After 49 days of deep meditation, he is said to have achieved enlightenment and became the Buddha. He then debated whether to teach the truth he had learned to others who would not understand the truth, but he was convinced by Brahma, the king of the gods, and he began to teach. He began teaching the principles of the wheel of Dharma, not worshipping a single deity but focusing on the importance of the message. He spent the next 45 years teaching his message and died in around 544 BC, famously having told his disciples to follow no leader after his death. He is still revered as the supreme Buddha, as well as being regarded as a prophet in several other religions.
What is Buddhism? Buddhism is a religion based on the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, who lived about 25 centuries ago in what is now Nepal and northeastern India. He came to be called the Buddha, which means awakened one, after he experienced a profound realization of the nature of life, death, and existence. In English, the Buddha was said to be enlightened, although in Sanskrit it is Bodhi, meaning awakened. In the remaining years of his life, the Buddha traveled and taught. However, he didn't teach people what he had realized when he became enlightened. Instead, he taught people how to realize enlightenment for themselves. In the centuries following the Buddha's life, Buddhism spread throughout Asia to become one of the dominant religions of the continent. The most common estimate of the number of Buddhists in the world today is 350 million, which makes Buddhism the fourth largest of the world's religions. How is Buddhism distinctive from other religions? Buddhism is so different from other religions that some people question whether it is a religion at all. For example, the central focus of most religions is God or gods, but Buddhism is non-theistic. The Buddha taught that believing in gods was not useful for those seeking to realize enlightenment. Instead of teaching doctrines to be memorized and believed, the Buddha taught how we can realize truth for ourselves. The focus of Buddhism is on practice rather than belief. Basic teaching. The foundation of Buddhism is the Four Noble Truths. The truths are 1. The truth of suffering, dukkha. 2. The truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya. 3. The truth of the end of suffering, nirodha. 4. The truth of the path that frees us from suffering, magga. By themselves, the truths don't seem like much, but beneath the truths are countless layers of teachings on the nature of existence, the self, life, and death, not to mention suffering. The point is not to just believe in the teachings, but to explore them, understand them, and test them against one's own experience. It is the process of exploring, understanding, testing, and realizing that is Buddhism.